Welcome to the Resilient Retail Game Plan, a podcast for anyone wanting to start, grow or scale a profitable creative product business with me, Catherine Erdley. The Resilient Retail Game Plan is a podcast dedicated to one thing, breaking down the concepts and tools that I've gathered from 20 years in the retail industry and showing you how you can use them in your business. This is the real nuts and bolts of running a successful product business, broken down in an easy, accessible way. This is not a podcast about learning how to make your business look good. It's the tools and techniques that will make you and your business feel good. Confidently plan, launch and manage your products, and feel in control of your sales numbers and cash flow to help you build a resilient retail business. Welcome. It is episode number 84 of the Resilient Retail Game Plan. My name's Catherine Erdley and I'm your host as well as the founder of the Resilient Retail Club. The Resilient Retail Club is my membership group for creative product businesses. You can go to resilientretailclub.com to find out more. And if you use the code 10podcast, that's 10podcast, then you can get £10 off your first month. There's no minimum sign up. You get access to a library of courses, a vibrant community, as well as 4 live events a month to help you grow your sales and profits. So if you've ever thought about joining the club, then why not come along and join us? So today's episode, I wanted to do something a little different. One of my big goals for 2022 is to write a book. In fact, it's been on my list of things to do for several years, but it feels like this year is the year to do it. And as I've learned already, the more I tell people about it and the more I talk about the book, the more real it becomes. In fact, what I am doing is I'm working on a business book writing boot camp, try saying that 3 times quickly, to help keep me focused. And one of the challenges is to use the writing of the book to create other content in your business. Because as you can imagine, writing 50,000 words is quite an enormous undertaking and very time consuming. So in order to maximize efficiency and also to test out some of the ideas and concepts before publication, the idea is that as opposed to working on your manuscript completely in isolation or revealing everything at the end as the finished product, then actually to share the journey as you go along. As much as I'd love to say I'm planning on writing a historical romance, of course, this book is all about how product businesses can make money. My goal is to create something that is really practical so that if you have a product business, it will help you learn so much more about it and how you can make more money. I also would love to have a book that allows you to self-diagnose. So if you've got questions about why your sales figures aren't really reflected in your bank account, for example, or worries about how to control your expenses as you grow, then this book will be able to help you with that. I decided that I'm going to be very brave today. And in today's podcast, I'm going to read you part of my very rough, as yet unedited first draft. But of course, I wanted it to be something that was useful and practical for you to listen to, as opposed to just indulging me as I work on this project. So I've chosen the part where I talk about the unique challenges of running a product business, what you need to look out for, and how to learn to manage them. I've chosen a very specific metaphor to describe the challenges of running a product business. I'd love to hear your feedback. After the episode, do let me know, did it resonate with you? Did what I was talking about make sense? Were there any questions that came up for you that you'd love to have answered? Do send me a DM on Instagram or send me an email, catherine@resilientretailclub.com, and let me know what you thought about the episode and what you think about the principle behind the book. So here it goes, the first look at part of my book draft. People often decide to start a product business from a place of passion and excitement. It's like the feeling you get when you decide you'd love to have a pet because of all the wonderful things you know it will bring into your life. So imagine you decide one day you'd like to get a cat. You find yourself an adorable striped creature that you take home and care for. You feed it, love it, and constantly think of ways to improve its life and look at how you can care for it. Then one day, after you find yourself yet again trying to figure out what it is that this creature wants, you realize that instead of a tame tabby cat, you're actually the owner of a fully grown tiger. How does it feel to have a tiger in your business? The easiest way to understand whether or not this is the situation that you're in is to look at how your business is making you feel. Do you feel constantly on the back foot, like you don't really know whether or not you're doing the right thing? It all feels really unpredictable. Like by now, you should be able to understand what is coming next, but you never really know what is going to happen until it happens. You don't know what you don't know. You feel like you are out of your depth with this beast, and as a result, you always have this slightly nervous feeling like you should know more. Sometimes you're awake at night wondering whether or not you're on the right track. And even when things are going well on the surface, you wonder if you could be doing things better or differently. There doesn't seem to be enough money to get the help that you need. So as you grow and get busier, you seem to be doing more and more instead of being able to step away. And the business seems to be demanding more and more money. So as soon as you have sales coming in, that money is going straight out again. If your business makes you feel nervous, feels unpredictable, or seems to have turned into a hungry, cash-consuming monster, you may very well have a tiger. The idea behind this book is that business owners who have product businesses that don't feel quite right but can't put their fingers on why have something to refer back to. In my experience, that's a lot of product business owners who feel that way. Perhaps your sales have grown, but when you do your accounts or you talk to your accountant, it shows that you broke even and you can't figure out why. Or you're spinning your wheels faster than ever, but your bank account shows very little compared to what you have coming in. I'm a big believer in building businesses based on how you feel. This is partly because as you grow your own business, you will need to feel your way into creating the right type of business for you. And also, quite frankly, you won't ever put the time and effort necessary into creating a business if you aren't enjoying it. Sooner or later, if you are finding what you're doing tough and frustrating, you will give up. In that way, connecting with what it is that you actually want for your business is really important. So how will being more aware of the inner workings of your business change the way that you feel? Before working through the exercises in the book and understanding in a more in-depth way how your business actually functions and makes money, you may feel unsure of yourself. Running a product business without properly understanding the key figures that will help drive your profitability or what will actually help you make more money is very difficult and challenging. You may feel lost or overwhelmed. Perhaps you're wondering if you will ever work out how to make money. You've seen some successes, but even as your sales grow, you feel stuck and unsure how or why these sales successes are not translating into profitability. One of the most difficult aspects of growing a business is understanding how you can bring more people in to help, or understanding how to manage your costs, or even what you should be spending money on as you grow. Without a solid understanding of what numbers you should be aiming for, it can all feel a little bit tentative. What's more, even if you do set yourself goals, you may find that you don't know what actions you should be taking if you're not hitting those numbers or exceeding them. Many people I speak to tell me about feelings of frustration or anger or fear. They sometimes find it hard to sleep worrying about how to keep the business going, or even when things are going well, they're not sure how much they can spend. This means that they either base their decisions purely on what's in the bank account or instead hoard their cash, unwilling to spend anything for fear of running out. Once you have used the tools and exercises in this book to self-diagnose, you'll have a clear understanding of where the strengths and the areas of development are for your business. You'll be able to explore what is impacting your profitability and what you can do about it. Moreover, you'll have a plan that will allow you to navigate the ups and downs of retail sales. Product businesses are volatile. It's what makes them fun and exciting, but also constantly changing. The key idea is to create a framework and a basis of understanding that helps you see which products make you the most profit, where you should be focusing your time, what you can afford in terms of expenses, how much stock to have at one time, what to do if you've got too much stock, and what to do if your sales are tough. The idea is to create an outline that you can fill in as you go along, a framework that you can measure all of your numbers against. Think of it this way. It's a way of measuring how big your tiger is and if it's growing and getting scarier or shrinking and becoming tamed. So what is the anatomy of a tiger and why do product businesses become tigers? Product businesses have their own unique challenges because of their stock. On the one hand, a product business is one of the most scalable options when it comes to starting your own business. Once you've figured out what you want to sell and who you want to sell it to, and most importantly, what those people want to buy, you can grow by simply selling more products, not just grow a little bit. You can keep adding stores or products or channels or routes to market until you end up at 527.8 billion, like Walmart, who is the world's largest retailer. In other words, there is no limit to how big your retail business can get. But what there is along the way is a series of challenges that you have to understand to overcome. And it's those challenges that mean that many product businesses turn into cash-hungry tigers that leave their owners feeling off balance and uncertain. I would argue that the margin of error is smaller in a product business compared to other businesses. If a service business creates a course that doesn't sell, yes, you've lost the time and effort put into promoting it. But if a product business buys £10,000 worth of stock that doesn't sell, that's a significant amount of cash that is tied up and must be dealt with. The truth is, most people start a product business with a small amount of knowledge about the industry they're entering. Most people I speak to who start product businesses do not have a retail background, and even those that do may not have worked in the specific part of the retail industry that deals with profitability. In fact, many business owners, even as they grow, are not aware of the key numbers and areas to be monitoring to avoid their business becoming a cash-hungry tiger. I was talking to someone who built their product business to 8 figures, and they admitted that the last department to be added to the structure was the merchandising team, which is the team that I worked in for 17 years. Many are not even aware that this department, this function, or even this way of looking at your business is something that can help them. One of the other issues that can hinder product businesses is that in terms of your accounts, your stock is counted as an asset. So it's entirely possible that your accounts could show a profit and you have no money whatsoever in your bank account. I'm a big believer in the importance of finding a great accountant to work with. In fact, I would go as far as saying that a good small business accountant is a vital partner for you as you grow your business. But as the business owner, you need to be responsible for understanding your own numbers and be aware that your accountant may be looking at different elements to you that may or may not be able to help you understand how to tame your tiger. In addition, your accountant is not going to be focused on your product strategy. They are not going to be thinking about your product assortment, what you need to offer your customers, or anything else related to the actual products behind the numbers. If you can understand some of the key statistics, then this will help you enormously when it comes to taking ownership of your own business, your own numbers, and improve, if anything, the relationship that you have with your accountant. Another reason that product business owners often find themselves in this situation, and this is a very, very broad generalization, it's because often the impulse that drives you to start your own business is one around creativity. Creative minds are often drawn to product businesses as a way of exploring that creative impulse. And on an extremely general level, creative minds tend to be less comfortable with numbers or less interested in engaging with them. And who can blame you when there's so much interesting product to be looking at? If you're listening to this and feel that maybe you do have a tiger in your business, then your next question naturally might be around what on earth you're going to do about it. Many people I speak to started their product business as an escape or an alternative to a career or a job that was sucking their joy. So it can be upsetting to feel as if they've now created something else that is difficult and tricky. The important thing to remember here is that there's nothing inherently wrong with having a tiger. In fact, many people think tigers are pretty awesome. It's just that you need to educate yourself so that you can learn how to live with and enjoy your tiger. And the first part of that is to recognize whether or not you do in fact have one. And that's all about engaging some of the key elements of what differentiates a tabby cat from a tiger. We're going to have a look at the teeth, tail, and tummy of a tiger. So the teeth, this is the first place to look at if you think you have a tiger, not a tabby cat. What we want to understand here is how big is the bite that is being taken out of your revenue every time you make a sale. It's one of the most important areas to focus on when you're trying to understand the fundamentals that your business is built on. If you sell an item for £12 and after all of your tax and expenses come out, you're left with £7.50 for yourself, then your business is going to feel really different to a business where there is only £2.50 left after all tax and expenses. Understanding what that looks like for your business, what those numbers look like, and how to manage and measure them will go a long way towards making sure that the teeth and the bite are under control. Secondly, the tail. How big of a tail does your business have? If you're wondering what on earth I'm talking about, the tail is a name given in retail to the unproductive stock in your business. You may well have heard of the 80-20 rule, or maybe you've even heard me talking about it before, also known as Pareto's principle. In a product business, it refers to the common phenomenon that 80% of your sales will be coming from just 20% of your products. And this is something that I've looked at in businesses of all different sizes, and it really honestly does hold true. 80% of your sales coming from just 20% of your product range. But on the other hand, it also means that 20% of your sales will be coming from the remaining 80% of your products. That 80% is known as the tail, and having too much stock of those unproductive products is one of the quickest ways to lock up too much cash in your business and create an unwieldy tiger. The bigger the tail, the bigger the tiger. So one of the key elements into understanding how your business is and how it works and what's holding you back is to look at your tail. The tummy. Okay, so I went for alliteration here. Maybe I'm stretching it slightly. But the third place we want to look at to understand about your tiger is taking a look at how much you're feeding it. Tiger businesses are hungry beasts, and you may find that as soon as money comes in through sales, it goes straight out again on stock or other expenses. Looking at the tail and reducing its size will help with a stock issue, but the other area you need to understand is how much you are feeding the tiger. Spoiler alert, most of the time when I work with product businesses, the issue usually comes from the teeth or the tail. But especially as the business grows, sometimes there's a problem with the amount of other expenses that are happening in the business. If your business has too many fixed expenses, for example, staffing, agency fees, or premises, it makes it very difficult to grow profitably. The key here is to understand what the parameters are, how to go about creating a framework that you can work within to create an expense base that works for your business. The aim of the book is to help you examine the three elements in your business and identify where any problems might lie. That's the first and arguably the most important step in the whole process, helping you self-diagnose what's going on in your own business. The second element, which the book also aims to help you do, is to start to measure and understand more about these different elements. You'll be able to go from having a general bad feeling about how much money you're making to be able to clearly identify what the issue is and where it's coming from. Knowledge is power, and part of this is about knowing what numbers you should even be tracking on a monthly basis. Finally, once you've identified the problem and measured it, you can then put together a plan to improve. Once you have that plan in place and an understanding of how to work with it on an ongoing basis, then you'll have truly tamed your tiger. But isn't the answer just to sell more? You may be reading this and thinking to yourself, surely Catherine's missing the point. Surely, if your product business isn't producing enough cash, the answer is to sell more. Well, yes and no. More sales help you, specifically if your fixed costs are too high for your overall sales. Let's say you have a studio and it costs you £1,000 a month. Your sales are around £1,500 a month, but after you take off taxes and product costs, you're only generating £650 of profit. So each month you're going to be making a loss. If you could double your sales and stay at the same sales to profit ratio, then you will go from being unprofitable to profitable, assuming the rest of your costs aren't too high. However, if your main issue is the teeth, the more you sell, the more you'll be spinning your wheels. Growing sales often means more expenses, more people to help, more storage space, bigger facilities, more packaging, often more stock. All of these services that you use in your business, from your email marketing to your website, could well become more expensive as well. So if you're under profitable with small sales, as you grow, that won't necessarily change. Similarly, with the stock issue, as you grow, unless you keep an eye on that tail, it will also grow along with you. And remember, the bigger the tail, the bigger the tiger. I've worked with several fast growth businesses who haven't paid enough close attention to the amount of stock that they have, which has caused a major problem as sales have increased. Yes, more sales is a very important part of growing and developing your business, but as we'll examine later in the book, it's only part of the story. It's entirely possible to have a 6-figure or even a 7, 8, 9, or 10-figure product business that makes no money. Believe me, I've worked with or for several such businesses. But here's the good news. The more you learn and practice these principles, the more that you will be well equipped as your business grows to understand the pressures, the pain points, and ultimately how to keep that tiger under control. So in summary, tigers feel scary because we aren't trained to recognize or manage them. The 3 areas that we need to look at and measure in a product business are the teeth, how big of a bite is being taken out of our sales, the tail, how much unproductive stock is trapped in our business, and the tummy, how much we're feeding the beast. Although it may be tempting to assume that growing your sales is the best way to alleviate financial stress in your business, growing sales alone without understanding and managing these other elements is not sufficient. So there you have it. First look at the draft. I'd love to hear your feedback. Is there anything that I've missed? Is there anything that you think to yourself, okay, that sounds interesting? Or is there anything that you think, well, how come she's not talking about this issue? I'd love to hear it. I'd love to hear what you thought about it. As I said, I had to be quite brave to share that as it's the first draft and it's definitely not fully edited yet. But I wanted to get it out there and to hear what you think about it. So do come over, shoot me an email, Catherine@resilientretailclub.com, or come over to Instagram @resilientretailclub, shoot me a DM, let me know what you thought about it. And of course, thank you to everyone who sent me photos of where you are when you're listening to the podcast. I do love to see it. Love to hear what your takeaways are. And of course, if you have a second to rate and review the podcast, it makes all the difference in the world. And if you follow or subscribe, then you'll be the first to know about each new episode. And I will be sharing more as I go along. Do let me know if you'd like to hear more about what I'm working on. As I said, I don't have a date yet for when the book will be out, but I wanted to say it out loud, make it feel even more real by sharing it with you all, and also find out what you thought of it. If you've enjoyed this week's episode, then I invite you to check out resilientretailclub.com. The Resilient Retail Club is the membership for anyone wanting to start, grow, or scale a profitable product business. No more trawling Google trying to find the answers to your questions or wading through general business advice that speaks mainly to service-based businesses. Whether you're still at the idea stage or you've been going for a while but want to get more focused and organised when it comes to your business, the Resilient Retail Club is the place for you. With a library of courses tailored to creative product businesses, several live sessions a month, and a supportive and active community, the Resilient Retail Club is the perfect membership to help you hit your goals faster. Check it out at resilientretailclub.com.